When the Lord called me to be a Christian in 1970, I was introduced to the Bible, which I read, and at the same time was presented with two books called The Late Great Planet Earth by Hal Lindsey and also Dispensational Truth by Clarence Larkin. These books presented a picture of what was to happen at the end of the world. Among these Christians I knew, they believed these things. And many evangelicals and Pentecostal believers believe it to this day. What stuck out in my mind was the words of Jesus to his disciples regarding the future destruction of the temple and his words to the women when he was on the cross. "Weep not for me," he said. "If they do these things in the green tree, what will they do in the dry?" Jesus was speaking about the destruction of Jerusalem in 70 AD and the end of the Jewish age, according to what was written in Moses and the prophets, and not the end of the world. I had no one to tell me what this meant. When I learned the doctrines of grace and joined the Beaton Particular Baptist Church, I began to see the spirituality of the Old Testament writings and realised that the law that was to proceed from Zion was in fact the gospel of Christ, or royal law of liberty, and not the law of Moses. This would be published from Zion, and of course, this refers to the spiritual truths of the gospel, the church being the heavenly Jerusalem, the city of God, called Zion. The book of Revelation was written by the Apostle John. It was written for the benefit of the seven churches. This can be gathered from the internal evidence of the book itself, and also the fact that the writer of the Hebrews refers to Mount Zion and the city of God, which is mentioned in the book of Revelation. It was written before the temple was destroyed, and as John says, the vision was given by God to Jesus about those things that were shortly to come to pass. Remember, Jesus had already said to his disciples he did not know the time of the events when he was with them, only his Father knew it. But now John informs us that the Father had given to Jesus this information, and John was told now to write the vision about the things that were shortly to come to pass. It is not a prediction of the end of the world. The destruction of Jerusalem by the agency of Rome was a display of the vindictive justice of God against the Jewish leaders who had rejected the Lord Jesus Christ and crucified him. It was the day of vengeance of our God, as told by Moses himself in Deuteronomy 28, Malachi and John the Baptist. The descent of the New Jerusalem is the spiritual city of God, and the old covenant and rule of Moses had to be abolished. The house of God, being a spiritual house of Jew and Gentile, is called the whole Israel of God. The majority of scholars have got it wrong when they take up the view that the book of Revelation was written by John in 96 AD, or thereabouts. They fail to miss the whole point that the Lord Jesus came in vengeance on Jerusalem in a time of judgment and vindication of the blood of all the martyrs, since the blood of Abel and the prophets and the martyrs of Jesus to that day, and so is a warning to all who reject God and persecute the believers of Christ in this generation today. Those who fail to see this will not be able to understand the book of Revelation, and so cannot be blessed. As the book says, a jigsaw puzzle cannot be put together by forcing its pieces together. But when doing so properly, one will be able to see the whole picture as it is really meant to be seen. To help you understand the book of Revelation, I'm recommending to you two books. They are, the first one, The High Praise for the Parousia by James Stuart Russell, and Who is This Babylon by Don Preston. You may borrow them from Macy's Diamond Trail Library. Here's the link. Or request a copy from me.